Hi, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Women's Holistic Health Conference. I'm Ire, and I have a couple of our speakers here with me, Melanie and Jen, and we are going to go ahead and get started. If you are joining us in the audience, we would love if you would put in the chat where you're joining us from and what your sun sign is. Let's just discuss that this morning. And then we will get going. Melanie is going to open us with a card pull this morning and kind of set the intention for the energy today. And then we will dive into Melanie giving us a talk all about the Akashic records and how to find the root cause of things by using those. So, all right, Melanie, I will let you take it over.
Okay. All right, so I am using Radleigh Valentine's Guardian Angel Messages deck. It's a pretty cool deck. I like it. I like it's a tarot deck. It's not an oracle. And I really connect with it. So I don't know. It's the one I use. All right. So what is the energy around the session today? Knight of Earth. Which Knight of Earth is Pentacles. So that is organized, responsible, and supportive. I'm not a super great tarot reader. Let's see what else. 8 of Air. Self-doubt, confusion, and free will. All right. Knight of Earth. Organized, responsible, and supportive. And then 8 of Air. 8 is the 8 of Swords. That's interesting. Let me get some self-doubt, confusion, or free will. Why would we get that card? I have some clarification on the 8 of Swords. This could just be my energy. I don't know.
We might all be having some self-doubt this morning.
I am feeling a little bit of...
had to dive into it.
I'm having a little bit of confusion. And I did a podcast yesterday, and the whole topic was free will, which was interesting. 6 of Fire, which is 6 of Wands. Success, recognition, and self-esteem. So, I think we're feeling a little bit of confusion, a little bit of self-doubt, but I think we're going to really have some success and some self-esteem. It'll be great. We're gonna have fun today. It'll be, I think we're gonna have some community, some recognition of what we can do for our health and how we can move forward and be successful with our health. So I don't know.
Yes, which is good. I think we're all feeling a little self-doubt.
Yes.
Our esteemed meditation expert dropped out late last night, so Melanie threw herself into the fire to help us out, so we appreciate that, Melanie. Thank you so much. I know that was very unexpected. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started here, guys. If you haven't already, go download your swag bag so you can grab all the items from the speakers, and then there's some extra from speakers who are not people that are not speaking but decided to add some extra special goodies in there for you. And if you want to come and attend the breakout sessions this afternoon where you can meet with Melanie in person, and you can meet with Ashley Rose from last night, you can meet with Jennifer, who's here with us as well, and with Sarai later today as well. We would love to have you come and join us. That's an upgrade to the VIP ticket, and I'm going to drop that link in here too for you all to be able to go and grab that ticket so that you'll be able to come this afternoon. And I think that's it for the housekeeping stuff. So we are going to go ahead and dive in with Melanie today and start with her presentation. So Melanie is an Akashic record reading badass who's also really good at tech stuff, and she uses those Akashic records of yours to help you build your tech and do other amazing things with it. She's really good at not only reading your Akashic records, but then using that information to help you help yourself in whatever way that you've come to her for, whether it be health in this case, or your tech issues, or in my case, setting up my website. So if y'all have been to the website, atlasastrology.com, you will be able to see just the amazing work that she does, and she designed all of that on stuff that she got from my Akashic records and other things that I had mentioned. And after a long discussion, and it's amazing, and I love it. And Melanie is amazing, and I love her. So we are going to
Oh,
dive into that today. So Melanie, thank you for joining us. I'm happy you're here. We
thank
are
you for
going to talk
having
about
me.
about the energetic root cause that you can find in the Akashic records, which I'm super excited about. So, first give us a brief intro about like who you are and what you do, and maybe your
Mhm.
own words if, and then we're going to
Yeah.
dive into all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Melanie. I live with my 6 kids and 2 dogs in Central Virginia. And yeah, I use the Akashic Records to help business owners, specifically heart centered entrepreneurs, really identify who their target audience is, what their message is that they need to hear, what their pain point is. And then I use my marketing background to kind of blend it all together. And then it creates a beautiful soul led business. And we can strategize about their marketing, strategize about their business, their website. And then also recently, I've been getting into AI. So it's like I have 2 different divisions of my business because I don't have enough going
Yep.
on. I do,
Never.
I help neurodivergent entrepreneurs integrate AI into their business. So I do that as well.
Awesome.
So
Yes. I
that's
told you,
all.
Melanie
Yeah.
does it all, honestly. If it's tech related and you want our spiritual entrepreneur,
Yeah.
she's got you. She's really got you. So
Mm-hmm.
Melanie
Yeah.
and I met, I don't even remember when, a year or two ago now. It's been a while.
I
And
think it's been a minute. Yeah.
yeah, it has been. Um, and we've exchanged services and, whatever to, see what each one does. And it's been amazing that way. We will have to see each other in person one day because we come to Virginia a
Yeah, that'd be
lot.
awesome.
So
There
that
we
would be
go.
fun. So, how
That would be
exactly?
awesome.
Well,
I think you'd like Charlottesville. There's a witch shop and
yeah.
everything. It's great. I love it.
Oh, see, I'm already
Yeah.
down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so can you go ahead and just tell everybody, like, what exactly are the Akashic records for those listening who maybe don't know?
Yeah. So the Akashic records are kind of like this library of everyone's soul. And it contains information of your past lives, your present life, your future. And it's just a great way to kind of get an idea. It's almost like Google for your soul. Like you can say, "Hey, why am I feeling this way about this? Like
Hmm.
what can I learn from this?" And it's just kind of like it's great to use like tarot cards and your intuition and all of that, of course. But it's almost like an extra level, a higher consciousness, a higher state of consciousness, the Akashic field.
Hmm. Okay, awesome. So it's
Yeah.
something that like everybody can tap into, or do you have to go through like special training or anything?
So yeah, sometimes people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the Akashics all the time," and it's like, I I don't ever want to question somebody else's journey, but there is a very specific way to access the Akashic records, and it's.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that they don't do it. It's just the information might not be quite as rich and detailed as if you did it the way that it's supposed to be done. I went through training and I'm a certified reader, but um, yeah, it's like a magical place to go to, and like the healing that you do when you're in the Akashic field
Hmm.
is a lot. It's just more what's the word I'm looking for? More rich, more complete. I don't know. It's hard to describe how it is, but the healing is more. The readings are more in depth. I guess that's what you would say. Um, it's just a lot deeper, more robust.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when I've talked to
Mm-hmm.
people, other people who do Akashic record readings as well, many of them have told me that it really drains their energy to have to like access them even for a short period of time. So when you say someone's
Yes.
like, "Oh, I'm
Yes.
always in there," I'm always skeptical when I hear that too, because I'm like, "Well, how do you have like
Yeah.
any energy left to do anything?" Because it is,
Right.
you know, it can be
Yeah.
so draining.
When I access them, and I've been doing it for, oh gosh, several years, 2, 3 years, maybe even 4. And I do it a lot, and still it's like, whew, okay. After every reading, I'm like, okay, I need to go and like reconnect to nature and ground myself and go and take a minute to breathe. And
Mm-hmm.
because I'll get a crown headache if I don't,
Oh,
which
yeah.
will just like knock me out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do kind of question, but I also, I want to be careful that I don't question other people's journeys, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I understand that too. I just, like I said, I'm with you. I
Yeah.
feel a little skeptical because I know personally I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do the Akashic records, but when I do a reading for someone, I do tap into their energy and I tap into like my spirit guides and I tap into other stuff, right, to
Mm-hmm.
help me with that reading. And it literally, I
Right.
only will do one reading a day. And sometimes I will take a day or two in between readings because it drains me so much. And I'm not even in like the
Yes.
actual like Akashic
Yeah.
records and how
Yeah.
in depth and robust that is. This is just, the basic ass shit, I guess you want to consider it.
Right. 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 And when they say, "Oh yeah, I'm in there all the time," I don't judge them like saying, "Oh, you're doing it wrong and I'm doing it right and I'm the one that you have to come to." I'm not like that. It's more like, "Oh, I wish that you actually were there and you actually were getting the full, complete, energetic exchange and experience." Um, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I want better for them, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. That's my problem too. I
Yeah.
always like want more for people than sometimes they want for themselves. And I
Yeah.
just have to
Yeah.
remember that
Yeah.
I can't want something more than that person wants it themselves. You know what I mean?
So true.
It's
It's
not our
so true.
job to
Yeah, they have to
to
want it.
heal people that
Right.
aren't ready for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
as
Yeah.
far as like you're talking about how we can find the energetic root cause. What exactly, when you go into someone's Akashic records, are you looking for if they come to you with, let's say, I have headaches all the time, or, I'm constantly, feeling drained with my energy, and I just, can you find what's going on? How does that actually work?
Mm-hmm. So the way um, different readers have different ways of getting the information. I'm very clairaudient and cognizant. Others are clairvoyant, so they'll see messages. They'll see
Mm-hmm.
like a past life. I will literally just have a conversation with their guides and with the guides of the Akashic, and I'll just ask. I'll say, "Hey, this person is." I don't usually have people coming to me for health readings. It's more business. Um, but if I did have someone coming to me for health, if they were, I mean, I did it for myself. I broke my foot a couple of years ago, and after it
Mm-hmm.
healed, I was still having issues with it. I know, shocker, right? With my spot, with my skeletal, my chart.
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's
Not
shocking that
shocking at
I
all.
have bone issues. Anyway, after it healed, I kept having pain, and I was having issues walking. And I went into my records. I'm like, why am I having this pain? Um, Typically, not always, but typically, issues on the right side have to do with a current life, and issues on your left side have to do with a past life. This is my right foot. And I asked, "Hey, what's going on?" And they were like, "You're having difficulty. You need to heal your fear of stepping forward in your business and moving, taking that step." They're like, "We have your
Mm-hmm.
back. Just jump, just take that step." And once I healed that and I got that message and all of that, the pain went away. I mean, it still like sparks up sometimes, but it wasn't as bad as it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can use the Akashic records to see, it, I'm feeling a pain in my shoulder. Is it a burden that I'm carrying from a past life or a current life? Is
Mm-hmm.
it, there's some kind of energy that I need to heal and resolve. And if you heal it and transmute it in the Akashic records, it's so, so powerful when you do it in that realm.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that because it's, more of like an energetic realm, which is what we are, right? We're energy
Mm-hmm.
beings. We're all made
Yeah.
from energy
Yeah,
of some sort.
absolutely.
And made from the stars energy. And so tapping into that energy and
Mm-hmm.
changing things on an energetic or vibrational level is so much better many times than addressing it
Mm-hmm.
physically. There's a lot of things we could
Right.
do physically that might have helped with, let's say, your foot pain you were having, right? But it
Yeah.
wouldn't have probably solved it 100% because it wasn't a physical
Right.
issue that was causing the pain,
Right.
right? And so
Right. Right.
knowing what's actually causing it is so useful and super helpful. You're
Mm-hmm.
right. I'm not surprised that
Yeah.
you were having the foot issues um, because of your chart with all that Capricorn in there, girl,
Right.
and Capricorn ruling the skeletal structure. But
Yeah.
I totally can see how it was the energy that was actually causing that leftover pain and not necessarily anything from
Right.
the actual physical break anymore, right? And I
Right.
see that a
Right.
lot with clients that
And
I see too. So, yeah, I get that.
yeah, and our bodies are kind of, I mean, they're vessels, yes, for our soul, but they're also like messengers, I guess, of what we need to heal and what we need to address and resolve and transmute. And an issue from like a past life or current life or something that we energetically need to deal with will settle in our body. And once yeah, you can do the physical stuff all you want, but that's not a complete healing. You have to, we're energetic beings as well. So we have to heal the energy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen that in even some of the readings I've done that, it's nothing like physical that I can help with, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
it's a energetic problem or it's something else. Bringing in Jen here for a little bit, maybe it's something where your nervous system needs regulated and some tapping would help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something
Yeah,
else going on
exactly.
besides like, oh, have some more vitamins and minerals. know?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's, yeah, it's super useful. And it's nice knowing, people like you who do the Akashic Record readings who can then dive in deeper into that and figure out exactly what is causing it. Like I can see that it's maybe an
Mm-hmm.
energetic issue, but I maybe can't always pinpoint exactly what energetic issue was going on or if it's a past life or a
Right.
current life or you know what I mean. And so I
Mm-hmm.
really like
Mm-hmm.
being able to, send clients who need more in-depth like readings on that level to like you or,
Yeah.
somebody else who
Mm-hmm.
does it as well. So that's been super useful.
It really gives you a holistic approach to healing, right? You
Mm-hmm.
find the root of it and then you're like, okay, cool. Now that we know what it is, we can use tapping, we can use acupuncture, we can use, meditation and whatever. I mean, you can heal it energetically. I can do healing in the
Mm-hmm.
Akashic plane, but then also for your physical body, then you can do vitamins and minerals and supplements and whatever, plus the tapping and it just gives you a whole comprehensive healing plan, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really good to have too, because sometimes just knowing like, oh, it's, a past life energy doesn't necessarily help if you don't have like, okay, what are the next steps, right? I can know all day
Mm-hmm.
long that, my endometriosis is caused by my Saturn in Scorpio, but that doesn't
Right.
fix anything, right? Because what do I do from there with that information? So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
being able to then
Mm-hmm.
kind of get the steps to take and be able to give those to people is really useful as well.
Mm-hmm. And I
So,
can
if somebody,
also ask something like, so why am I experiencing this pain?
mm-hmm,
What do I need to learn from this pain or this issue? And then, it helps with the evolution of your soul as well.
yeah, yeah, that 100%, because sometimes the healing doesn't need to come even from the energy. It needs to come from like
Right.
a past life being integrated
Exactly.
better or taking those lessons and,
Yes.
like the whole karmic fulfillment, right? You need to fulfill the karma
Right.
and
Right.
then that will move you forward
Mm-hmm.
too. Yeah. Yeah, I can
Right.
totally see that.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for those
Yeah.
listening who are like, okay, well, this sounds great and I really, I'm having issues and maybe this might help. Like, is there a way for them to do this on their own, or is this something you always recommend they go and get a reading from somebody else?
Yeah, I do recommend you go and get a reading from someone else or learn how to do it because there are very specific um, steps to take. Like there's what we call the pathway prayer. And what the pathway prayer, you have to get into a meditative state. You have to have specific intentions with most energy work, right? But the pathway prayer is specifically opens your records. It will connect you to that, to the higher power. You ask the guides of the Akasha and the guardians of the Akasha to, can we access these records? You seek the guidance from them for the greatest good of all. It also kind of removes any distractions. It sets the intention, tells your ego to kind of sit down, take a back seat, right? And you use your name, you use your legal name or whatever name you resonate with. Like my legal name, I don't resonate with, so I'll use my maiden name because names have energy, right? And it just kind of sets the intention to connect with the truth and all of that. And it sets the container. It makes sure that everything's done safely, So I do recommend that people go to someone who knows what they're doing. And then you ask the questions and get all the information. And then once you're done, there's a closing pathway prayer that will specifically close your records, right? Because you don't want them open for just anybody to go and access, right?
Right.
It's a lot shorter usually than the opening prayer. And it sets the intention to safely close the records. It gives gratitude for the guidance that was received. And I also like to use it to sever the energetic connection between whoever I was reading and myself. So there are specific steps to do, and I'm not saying that people can't do it on their own. It's just, I would recommend that they go to somebody just
probably
for their
always
safety
best.
and so that they have a complete, a good experience. And, I want them to get complete answers and a complete experience.
Yeah, that's understandable. I would agree with that too, that sometimes some things you can certainly do on your own, but sometimes it's best to have someone who is, experienced in this, certified in this, trained in this, done, hundreds of them or whatever. Because again, like you said, you'll get the more complete picture, information, steps to take, and ultimately it'll be better than, trying it on your own.
Right.
And I'm all for trying things on your own because that's who I am.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to do it on my own before I go find somebody.
Same.
But I also need to learn to recognize my limitations and know that this is not something I should be trying on my own. Right. So 100% agree.
It just gives you, it just gives you a deeper level. I know a little bit about astrology. I can kind of read a birth chart. I can kind of look at my chart and be like, oh, that explains that. But if I went to an actual astrologer, right, they can go even deeper and explain. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I was like that. And they can just go deeper than I could because I'm not a certified or trained astrologer,
Yeah.
They'll be able to more rich.
Yeah. They make those connections that you might not have even known to make.
Exactly.
Right. And, this is why I do medical astrology, and I am really damn good at that. I could read a chart for medical astrology all day long, but if I want to know something about my own astrology chart, I go and see another astrologer myself. Because it's not normal, quote unquote, astrology is not 100% my thing, right? And I understand that, and I understand my limitations, and I'm okay with going to someone else who has more knowledge and experience with that. And so I think that's an important distinction to make too. I think too, if you're searching for healing, and the reason we're here today, right, we're searching for healing, is that if you're searching for that and you're really wanting to heal your body, sometimes instead of trying to just throw everything at the wall yourself and see what sticks, it is better to just just avoid all of that. Go straight to someone who knows something that you're looking for, right? And can help
Yeah.
you get a plan underway and everything. And it makes the path to that healing so much quicker and easier and whatever, because now you have a teacher and a guide and someone to help you with
Right.
it. So, well,
And you
sure,
feel
you could probably do it
supported,
on your
right?
own. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably do it on your own, but it's going to take you longer. Like I did my healing on my own. It took me like 5 to 7 years to really heal my
Right.
body to a point where
Yeah.
I was able to get pregnant and all this stuff, right? But if I'm looking back, if I had found a medical astrologer instead of having to learn medical astrology myself and then use it, I would have short circuited that by probably 4, 5, 6 years. It probably would have
Yeah.
been a year, maybe two
Yeah.
tops, that I would have been, you know, doing the stuff and healed my body. So, there's nothing wrong with admitting that we don't know everything and that we need
Mm-mm.
someone else.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
hard for me because, like you, I'm like, I can do it myself. But I've found a
Yeah.
lot of value in going to others. And because, yeah, it's like I'm not doing it alone. It's okay. Like, it doesn't negate what I can do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's another perspective, you know?
Yeah. And having support is so imperative for many, many people in
Yes.
their healing journey, right?
Absolutely.
It's actually, there's
100%.
been studies that have been done about people who go to group sessions for things, or group coaching or group whatever, that actually
Mm-hmm.
have better success, even though they don't do anything different than a person who's going on their own, because they have that support system there and they have other people
Yeah.
that are doing it and understand and they can talk to. So yeah,
Right.
support is so important for us as humans to
It really is. It
have
really
on our healing
is.
journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah.
So what else,
Yeah.
or other reasons that you can think of, that someone would really want to go find, come to you or another Akashic record reader for things? What exactly is it? Why should you come to you or another Akashic record reader instead of something else?
Again, I think it's just kind of a different. I've noticed, like, no matter what I use, whether it's my own intuition, a pendulum, the Akashic records, my tarot cards, oracle cards, I get the same message, but I
Mm-hmm.
get it a little bit differently, if that makes sense. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like some of those methods are a little surface level, but then the Akashic records are super deep and rich,
Mm-hmm.
and you just kind of get really into your soul. It's just a different level. It's hard to explain until you get in it. Um, it's just a lot more complete. And it's even below theta. I haven't gotten into theta yet, but that's my next thing. Theta healing is like a level above the Akashic.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as like the
Mm-hmm.
fields of consciousness or whatever. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but the Akashic records can really complement, I kind of alluded to this earlier, complement other health practices like
Mm-hmm.
acupuncture, therapy, nutrition. And it just really gives you a complete holistic healing experience. Because, yeah, like we've said, just supplements aren't going to help. Just exercise isn't going to help. You really have
Mm-hmm.
to have a complete holistic approach to your healing.
Yeah.
And
And a
not just
holistic
physical
approach.
healing, like, yeah, not just physical healing. Like, you can do emotional healing, trauma healing, that kind of thing in
Mm-hmm.
the Akashic records too, which is
Yeah.
good. And a lot of times, if we were traumatized in a previous life, a lot of us, a lot of the people that I come across have the healing that they need. They have fear around coming out or, speaking what they're doing, and they have a wound around money. And
Mm-hmm.
that it's just, a lot of times they have a past life of they were a witch and they were hung or something. So of course they bring
Mm-hmm.
that into this life, and they're not going to want to do the work that they're here to do, right? So
True.
once you heal that in that past life in the Akashic records, then you're going to feel better about and feel more confident about stepping into your role here in this life. Um, So that's what the Akasha can help with too.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up too. That sometimes it's really not. It's a past life thing, like you said. Like you had some kind of trauma, and that's, showing up. And it could be like
Mm-hmm.
what we consider too, like generational trauma. It can be something that actually maybe didn't happen to you, but it
Yep.
happened to like your mom or your grandmother in a past life, right? And we're as women carrying that wound
Mm-hmm.
forward, and that can
Right.
cause health
Right.
problems and other issues, right? Trauma and
Absolutely. Yeah.
so many blocks. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that does, it
Yeah.
gets
There's
imprinted, and
generational
we,
trauma.
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And there's societal trauma too. Like a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
have the same wounds, you know,
Yeah, especially as
charging what
women.
we're worth because we've been told by religions and just society for how many hundreds and thousands of years that we're not worth anything. We are bad. We are this. We are, you know what I mean? So then, of course, when we're in this life, we're not going to charge our worth. We're going to be like, oh, I want to give, but I'm not worthy of anything. So I'm not going to charge
Mm-hmm.
for my services. That's a very common thing that I see with my clients. But again, I do business, not health, but it is something that needs to
Yes,
be healed.
but it is. If you really want to heal your body, that stuff shows up. Trauma shows up as
It does.
physical symptoms. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's so important. You said a holistic approach. It's mind, body, spirit. This is looking at everything. It's not just looking at your physical body, because again, it might not be a
Mm-hmm.
physical issue that's causing those physical symptoms. And it's good to
Right.
get that
Right.
holistic
Right.
approach where you get somebody to look at
Mm-hmm.
every aspect of who you are, and that includes your soul, your
Mm-hmm.
spirit, your, you know, all that stuff. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I can
And
see how this
like
is so
me
important.
personally, yeah, me personally, I have SVT. Um, and yes, that's a physical thing that I have, but also sometimes I'll notice my heart is racing more when I feel um, like I'm being abandoned, either by a client
Mm-hmm.
or by a loved one, or whenever I feel like someone is leaving me or something
Yeah.
is leaving me, right? I'll feel it in my heart. My heart races and stuff like that. The girl who trained me to read Akashic records did an Akashic, like a past life thing for me. And there was a past life where I was abandoned by my father as a child, and I was like kept in an attic with my brother, and all we had was a bed and a toy. And it was like once we
Mm-hmm.
healed that, my heart issues kind of went down a little bit. So take that along with the nutrition advice that you've given me, along with my cardiologist, and like everybody
Mm-hmm.
working together. My heart issues of like I don't have high blood pressure anymore. My SVT is gone. All of that.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so important too, is that symptoms like that can definitely be physically caused, right? There's some kind of deficit somewhere in the body of like a nutrition,
mm-hmm.
or there's, even possibly like an electrical system, issue
Right.
in the body, right? Because your heart is an electrical organ, even though it, also is a muscular organ. And that electrical
Right.
system is needed to make the thing impulses fire correctly so your heart's beating as it should. And so it could be that. But you're right, there's other reasons, especially since you started noting that, oh, this happens when I feel this way. And then that
Yes.
can lead you to, hey,
Right.
now what else do I
Mm-hmm.
need to explore? There you go. Akashic Records for the win, right?
Exactly. There we go, Akasha. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. It was great. It was kind of like an aha moment for me. I was like, oh, that makes total sense. So now, whenever I come across a situation where I'm feeling like I'm abandoned, I have affirmations to tell myself, okay, no, you're loved, you're safe, you're not being abandoned, all of that. And if I, it's like my heart will kind of start, and that triggers me to, okay, am I feeling this way? And then I'm like, and then I can quickly get my heart back to where it needs to be. um, because I've already done that healing, and I know, okay, I have the affirmations to kind of tell
Mm-hmm.
myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because now you know what's actually causing it. So then you have the tools in your toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
right, to now help you when those
Right.
symptoms pop back
Right.
up, which
Right.
again, you might not have actually
Right.
gotten
Because
if
our
you hadn't
ego.
done that reading.
Exactly. Exactly. And it would have taken, and I would have, if I wasn't connected to my energy and I wasn't didn't do the Akashic reading, oh no, my heart's acting up again. Let me go to my cardiologist. What are they going to do? They're going
Mm-hmm.
to put me on, metoprolol again. Or, oh, we got to do another cardiac ablation or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it would be a medical intervention that I'm not necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
I may not need.
Exactly. You may not need it. And honestly, if it's something you don't need, right, because it's not a physical symptom, those things aren't going to change anything. And all it's going to do is put your body under stress, unnecessary medical
Right.
bills if you're in the US,
Mm-hmm.
for things that aren't actually going to help. And then you're just going to be back at
Right.
square one. And eventually you're going to get the health system that's like, well, we don't know. So we're washing our
Right.
hands of
Right.
it. And
Womp womp. Right.
which I've seen
Right.
so much
When
in my
you,
years of nursing, right?
it's ridiculous. I don't get me started.
That's another conference, y'all. We'll talk about that next time.
That's another conference. The failures of the American health system.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we go ahead and end your session?
um, no, I think just I would empower people to maybe look into it and encourage people to look up an Akashic reader. I'm happy to do it, or there's many out there. I have lists of people you can go to.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep an open mind about it. And it's another tool in your arsenal.
Yeah, 100%. Let everybody know where they can find you if they're
Mm-hmm.
interested in connecting more for either business stuff
Oh,
or
yes.
Akashic
I could
Record
put
stuff.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put it in the chat for
Yeah.
everybody.
Can I put it in the chat?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'll give
Yep.
both of my websites.
And the chat gets downloaded, so
MelanieRaphael.com. Perfect.
if you're watching the replay, you will have all this information too.
MelanieRaphael.com is the Akashic stuff, and then Alchemize with AI is the business stuff. If anyone happens to be interested.
All right. Yeah. Hey, if you happen to be
I'll also
listening.
put my email if anybody wants to email me.
Okay. Perfect. Melanie is awesome, y'all. I'm sure you could kind of get a glimpse of that today, but she is wonderful to work with. She makes it super easy. She is not somebody that's like going to make you feel shame or anything for asking the questions that you ask, even if you think that it is the dumbest question on the earth. She just is really good at holding space for you, listening, and helping you work through things. So highly recommend going and talking to her.
Thank you.
This was very helpful, Melanie. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for stepping in like at the last second today for the card pull. I appreciate you.
No worries. Of course, of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Yes, yes, yes. So we are going to jump into Jen's presentation then. So Jen is our TFT practitioner, which if y'all have heard of EFT, it is similar to that. She's going to dive into all that and let you know all the fun stuff because that is not my wheelhouse and I don't want to mess it up. But Jennifer and I met years ago now in a business group for women and hit it off really well. She has been doing TFT for years. She is really amazing at it. I've had sessions with her that literally rocked my world for the better, fixed things that have been years in like just underlying and just kind of keep coming back up and up, right? And within, it was like a 15-minute session with her and it was like gone. Like literally gone. And I don't know how she does it. She's absolutely magical, which is why she's here with us today. So she is going to introduce herself and have her presentation and tell us all about why we need TFT for healing. Take it away, Jen.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you and the opportunity to be here. So I'm just really excited to be able to share TFT with everyone because it's like practical magic because I've been doing it for 10 years for myself and working with people, and I can count on it. I know that when I work with someone and I do TFT, I've got the statistics are 80 to 90% success rate. So it's one of those things where it's very rare that there's been a time where someone's like, this just isn't working for me. So that's pretty cool. Good stats. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about how I got into TFT in the first place. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know to look for it. I had been living with trauma from childhood experiences and an abusive first marriage. And that trauma and the emotions and the response that comes from trauma was really stuck with me. And I had been searching for answers for decades, over 20 years, looking for answers, looking for just any way to kind of ease the suffering. And I tried all of the things that you know to try. I did counseling for a while. I tried medication for a while. I tried self-help. I tried just pretending that everything was fine. I'm just going to move on, just forget about, leave the past behind, just move on. But that emotional response was stuck in my nervous system, and I couldn't get away. So I actually found TFT completely by accident. A friend of the family also found it by accident, and she had such a good result that she said, hey, to the practitioner she worked with. He was in the UK. He says, hey, will you come to Michigan, to Ann Arbor, Michigan, to give talks and workshops and share this with more people, because nobody had ever heard of it, and it really was helpful and effective. And he agreed. So this friend of the family talked to my parents and said, hey, I know you have some extra space. Would you mind hosting him while he's in town? And just giving him a place to stay and to also do some private sessions. And my parents agreed, and learning about, what was going on, my mom signed me up for a session. She didn't ask me. She didn't say, hey, I found this cool thing. She just made an appointment for me and called me up and said, hey, I gave you an appointment for this thing. It's this afternoon, come on over. So I said, okay. I was really, at the time, in a time where I was really suffering. I was experiencing kind of that emotional pain all day, every day. So I said, okay, I'm game. I'll try anything. And I didn't have any expectations. I didn't have any idea of what was going to happen. I was just going to show up and give it a try. So the day came and I went, and I had filled out a small questionnaire that was just kind of like, hey, what are you dealing with? What would you like to address? And I remember one of the questions was, how would it feel if this wasn't a problem for you anymore? And at the time, I had been living with this pain and trauma for so long. I didn't really know what that looked like, but I just thought, it'd be great, be wonderful. But like, okay, as far as I had learned, trauma was something you were just stuck with. So I went into this session. The practitioner's name was Kevin Lay, and he kind of looked over my questionnaire and was like, okay, trauma. And I said, yeah. He said, okay. And he just started, my job was to think about the experience and just think about how it made me feel. Just think about the experience and feel the emotions that came up when I thought about those experiences. And he tapped on various spots on my head and my hands and a couple on my body. And he tapped on those points while I was thinking about the traumas. And after, there's a few steps to TFT called a sequence sandwich. You do tapping, and then you do another step, and then you do the tapping again. And halfway through, he says, So how you feeling now? I'm like, better. He had asked me at the beginning, scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you feel? 1 being not at all and 10 being really bad. And I said 11, like really bad, like all the bad and then some. And about halfway through, he says, so how you feeling now? And I'm like, uh, I don't know, like a 4? Like, I don't feel bad anymore. So he's okay. And he took me through the rest of the sequence. We got to the end and he said, all right, now think about those experiences again and try to bring up those same emotions. And I sat there it felt like forever. It was probably a solid 2 minutes just trying to reconnect with the bad feelings, which felt like a stupid thing to do. But I was just like, this can't be real. This can't be this easy. And I just like, I can't find the feelings. I can't connect to them anymore. He goes, yeah, there you go. And the session was an hour long, and we had only taken about 20 minutes. And he went, oh, what else do you want to work on? And I was just blown away. We talked about a couple of things I wanted. I said, well, I'm really, really angry about the trauma I've been through. He says, okay, let's work on that. I said, oh, here's this other thing that has come, another little side effect. So let's work on that. So within this 45-minute time frame, it knocked out 3 major emotional pains that I had been going through for years and years and years. And I was stunned and overjoyed. So my mom had also signed me up for the talks that he had given, the workshops that he was going to give, like anything that he was doing the time he was here, I had a ticket for and I was showing up. So as he went through the rest of the process, he said, hey, I can teach you how to do this. I'm a certified TFT, thought field therapy trainer. If there's an interest, I'll come back and train people on how to do this. And I have never signed up for something so quickly in my life. I'm like, I don't care when it is. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how much money it costs. I am doing this. And I did. He came, it was September 2013 that he came to do the first sessions and talks. And it was January 2014 that he came back and did training. And so I've been doing TFT ever since then. I've used it multiple times for myself, and I've worked with many, many people over the years. And I work with people who have had extreme traumas, and I've worked with people who are just like, I'm kind of stressed about how busy I am, and everything in between there, and have really been able to give them great results with this process of TFT tapping. So I'm going to share my screen and go over a little bit of a description of TFT and what you can expect and how it works so that you kind of know what to expect. There we go. Haha. Did this actually work? Does everybody else see this? Pop over here real quick. Is everybody? Okay, here we go. Fantastic. So, tapping basics. We're going to go through the process. So, this is Bob. Bob is my helpful little points guy, gives everybody all the different points that we use in tapping. And tapping is when you tap on certain points in a specific sequence in order to release emotional pain from past experiences. That's the first part of the sequence sandwich that I talked about. And then the middle part is we do some vocalization and some eye movement while you just tap on one point. Then, so what can you do with tapping? Like what is come to me with what? So we work with things like stress, worry, anger, grief, trauma, cravings, which can be anything from sugar to cigarettes, and also fears and phobias. So, fun quick story. I have been afraid of heights my entire life. And while we were doing training for tapping, I was working with another person. We were practicing, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to focus on my fear of heights. And went through the sequence with this other person and kind of, didn't think anything else about it until 3 months later. And I was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee for a family vacation. And my husband said, hey, let's go up in the Space Needle and take a look at the view from 300 feet up in the air. And I said, okay, sure, let's do that. And then we stepped into the elevator, and it was a small elevator. It was shaped like a triangle, and it was completely glass, so you could see the view as you rode up to the top. And the way that everybody loaded in, I was now with my nose pressed into the corner of this glass triangle and recognized that I was about to freak out, going up 300 feet in the air. And I sort of braced for impact. Like, I really hope I don't like traumatize everyone in this elevator with me as I start to panic. And it was only about 10, 20 feet up. I'm like, I don't feel bad. I had forgotten all about this practice tapping. I went all the way up to the top, stepped out of the elevator onto the platform, walked right to the railing to look at the view, 300 feet up in the air, and felt perfectly calm, perfectly fine. I was like, oh yeah, I did tapping for that. Oh, cool. And yeah, that has still been a thing ever since then. So fears and phobias, I'm afraid of spiders, claustrophobia, things like that. I've got permission to talk about a practice session I did with a friend when I first got trained, and she was claustrophobic. And so we did a session on that, and she had just recently gone to a, convention. She wanted to an RV convention with her family, and she walked in one small camper and started to panic, flip out, and walked right back out. She's like, I can't handle it. It's too small. It's too tight. And then we did the tapping session, and for those kinds of things, it can be really subtle because you don't really feel a change because you're not experiencing the environment that you're, worried about. And so she did a trip with her son for the Boy Scouts, and it was to Put in Bay to go into the caves. And it wasn't until she'd been underground in the cave system for about 15, 20 minutes that she realized she wasn't afraid. She wasn't upset. She wasn't panicking. She just felt totally fine and relaxed. So that's pretty cool to be able to handle those kinds of things too, and just not let it bother you, not let it get in the way of things that you want to do with your life. Okay, so what's happening with tapping? Like, what is it that we're doing? And it's really a little bit unknown, but what we think is happening is that every experience that you have is stored in your brain and your body two different ways. And you have a cognitive memory of it. So just the facts. Who was there? Where were you at? What was happening? Things like that. And then you have the emotional response that you had to that experience. And both of these things are stored in the body, so that when the cognitive memory comes up, so does the emotional response. So if you think about a time where you were scared or mad or upset, you start to feel that way. And the same thing can happen in the opposite direction. If you start feeling scared or mad or bad about something, it can remind you of another time that you felt that way. And it can connect those two experiences together. What essentially TFT is doing is disconnecting the emotional response and releasing it from the cognitive memory. So you can think about what it is you've experienced, what it is you've gone through, but you don't feel the same things. You don't feel the painful feelings from that experience. So it's like changing the channel, flipping the switch on that emotional response. It just turns it off. So it's different from things like talk therapy is a lot like reframing things and trying to look at things from a different perspective. This is just saying, I know what happened, and you can still get any kind of wisdom or learning you need from that experience, but you don't feel bad about it. It doesn't affect you emotionally anymore. So, quick benefits of tapping: it's super fast. Heard Air say 15 minutes. I said 20 minutes. Lifetime trauma. It's super fast. Effective. I mentioned this earlier. 80 to 90% of the time, it works. Private. This is a cool thing. If this is an experience, if you're working with me as a TFT practitioner, and you don't really want to talk about the experience, you don't want to describe it to anyone else, that's fine. What I work with is the emotions that you feel when you think about the experience, the emotional response that you have when you think about the experience that you'd like to address. So if, for instance, it's a trauma and you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to share the details, that's fine. You can say, I believe it's a traumatic experience, and I help you kind of figure out if it is or not. And I'm really sad and I'm really mad. So, okay, great. I work through, talk some more, make sure we get all the emotions so that I can make the sequence for you as effective as possible the first time. And then we go from there. You get to think about the experience, and we work through the points that correlate to the emotions that you felt because of that experience. The cool thing is there's no side effects. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. And also, you don't have to believe that it works in order for it to work. You just have to be willing to participate. So the only time tapping has ever not been effective, in my experience, is when somebody doesn't want to participate in the process. They're doing it maybe because they think they should, or because someone else thinks they should, but it's not something they really they really do want to deal with. And so at that point in time, you don't bring up that emotional response. And that's the only time it hasn't been effective. But you don't have to believe it. If you are willing to think about it and you're willing and able and safely to feel the emotions connected to that experience, then tapping should work for you. Okay, here's the fun part. So there are two things called tapping, and most people haven't heard of TFT, but they have heard of EFT. So TFT came first. It was developed by a man, Roger Callahan. He was a private practice psychologist, and he started trying to combine things like traditional Chinese medicine with his practice because he was really frustrated with the results he was getting for people. It's like, the things I've been taught and that I know to do aren't really that successful, aren't really that effective. And he at one point had the thought to combine points of the meridian system with someone he was working with. And it was so effective that he went through and developed the whole process. So TFT started the whole thing. You think about a specific issue you want to address, you think about it, and there's a whole array of points that are on the head and the hand and the body. EFT tapping is something that was developed from one of Roger Callahan's students who learned TFT. And he decided that he wanted to essentially simplify it. And he also wanted to make it more mainstream, more readily accessible. Roger Callahan kept TFT training a little more exclusive. He wanted there to be a really rigid standard for people learning how to do TFT to share with other people. And the man Gary Craig, who developed EFT, wanted to make kind of a more DIY version of tapping. And so he developed EFT from TFT. So it's a little bit more general. And when you are bringing up the things that you want to address, you talk about it. So a good example of an EFT thing that you would say, because there's like a process, affirmations that you say, even though I'm really scared of heights, I still completely love and accept myself. And you would continue to say different things. You would bring up the different things that are connected to the thing that you're upset or worried about. And you would put that in the first part of the sentence. And then you always end it, but I totally uh, love and accept myself. So it's a vocal thing. And while you're doing that, there is a set of points that start at the top of the head and work their way down. And there's a set amount of points, a certain set of points that you tap in sequence while you're talking about the things that you'd like to address. And the points are always the same, no matter what it is that you want to address, and you have to talk about it. So TFT has more points that they use, and EFT uses the same points over and over again. EFT is great for DIY stuff if you want to, kind of try tapping on your own. And it's also great for groups because that's something that you can be very general and talk everybody through. TFT is better for individual and private work, and things can be more specifically addressed. So I said, and when I wanted to work through this, that I'm going to actually go through some TFT sequences with you. These are exercises that I share with everybody, whether you work with me or not. I have, they're in their swag bag, instructional videos for these, but we're going to go through and do them here together if you want to join in. And there's 2 that I'm going to talk about today, and there's one extra one that's actually in your swag bag. So the first one I'm going to talk about is I call it a shortcut, and it's a comforting and encouraging sort of thing. A full TFT sequence is like taking out the trash from that past experience, disconnecting that emotional response from something you've already been through. These exercises are more proactive. They're things that you can do so that that doesn't build up again. And the next one especially is really good for that. But this is good in the moment because it's just 2 points, and you always have your hands with you. So you can do that anywhere, anytime. If you're a little stressed about going into a meeting or maybe a meal with people that for whatever reason you're stressed out about, or just feeling out of sorts before you get there. I've also noticed this when I'm feeling clumsy, like, wow, I can't seem to stop tripping. That's when I do this tapping shortcut. So the 2 points are very simple. They're on the hands. The first one is the side of the hand. And the second one is the back of the hand in between the pinky and ring finger knuckles, and you go down on between the tendons about 1 inch. Now that might seem complicated, but you can tap on the whole back of your hand, the bottom part of your hand, and it hits that spot just fine. You don't have to be pinpoint accurate. So all you do with the shortcut is tap on the side of your hand for 15, 20 times, and then you tap on the back of your hand. And you can do this for 20, 30 taps. You can do this for 20, 30 minutes. This is one of the things this spot is good for is comfort. And so if you're feeling out of sorts or grumpy or clumsy, this is a really great, fast thing that you can do for yourself to get you back into a neutral or positive state. So this next one is the big deal one that I encourage everybody to do as much as they can get it into their daily routine as possible, because this collarbone breathing exercise is like giving yourself a little force field bubble to float through your day in. It's not so much that it stops you from feeling stressed, it stops you from getting stressed. So if you want to start your day in a way where it's like whatever comes up, it's just not going to bother me, give yourself your own little bubble. This is the exercise for you. So this is a PDF that I have that's all written out, and the exercise video also takes you through the whole process step by step. It feels more complicated, but once you get used to it, it's a lot easier to do. So we're going to do that together. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see me, and we're going to do this together if you want to. If not, you can just watch, and it only takes a couple of minutes. That's the other really cool part. So the points for this exercise are the one we already talked about in the back of your hand and the ends of your collarbones. You know, I got these little knobs on the end of your collarbones, and that's what we're going for. It doesn't matter if you start with your left or your right hand. Either way is just fine. It's going to work no matter what. The hardest part of the whole process, I'll tell you that in a second. So what we do is we put fingertips on a collarbone end. You can do this through clothing as well. That's fine. Put fingertips on a collarbone point, whichever one you want to start with, and then you tap on the back of your hand in that spot. And then we do a breathing pattern. Then you take your knuckles with your thumb out and you put it on that same collarbone point, tap on the back of the hand, breathing pattern. Move the knuckles to the second collarbone point, tap, breathe, and then fingertips on that second collarbone point, tap and breathe. The hardest part of the whole process is when you get to this spot, whichever way you went, you're going to take the tapping hand and put that on a collarbone point, tap on the back of the hand. We're going to do the same thing, go in the other direction with the other hand. And again, it doesn't matter if you start with the left or right. The breathing pattern is you take a deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and then breathe normally. You can do this through your mouth, your nose, doesn't matter. It's totally up to you, whatever you're most comfortable with. So with all that being said, let's go through collarbone breathing together. You're going to pick a side, fingertips on a collarbone point, tapping on the back of your hand, and take a deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. Now we're going to do knuckles, thumb out, same collarbone point, still tapping, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. We're going to move knuckles to the second collarbone point, still tapping, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. Last one on this side, fingertips on that second collarbone point, still tapping, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. And here comes the hard part. Whatever hand you were tapping with, put that on a collarbone point, and we'll go back the other direction. Tapping on the back of the hand, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. And we're going to do knuckles on that same collarbone point, thumb out of the way, tapping on the back, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. Knuckles on second collarbone point, still tapping, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. Last one, fingertips on second collarbone point, still tapping, deep breath in, half a breath out, half a breath out, half a breath in, and breathe normally. And there you go. That's collarbone breathing. It might feel a little bit like rubbing your tummy while you pat your head when you first get started. But once you get used to it and you kind of remember the sequence, it takes less than 2 minutes to do the whole process. And it is a fantastic way to start your day. So that is all I had planned for today. And I do want to say in breakout session, I'm going to be teaching and showing a couple more exercises because there's a range of a few more things I can share. And there's one exercise on the swag bag that we didn't do today. And that helps with attention and focus. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or I can see you in the breakout room later today. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and also I have another part of my work, which is helping women with ADHD control and their behavior through the creation and management of habits. And I have a course that's starting up on Monday for that as well. So I'll give you a connection for that as well. And you can always email me, and that's a great way to get in touch, and I can send you links for scheduling or sessions.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. That was absolutely amazing. Much needed, I think, for myself. I don't know about anybody else in the audience, but I definitely could use some of those.
Yeah, it's fun because the collarbone breathing is not, like I said, necessarily for stress relief, but you're tapping on that comfort spot, so point so much that it really does just kind of, you feel like you get a little breath of fresh air, and also now you kind of protected yourself from stress for the rest of the day.
Yeah, 100%. And always good, because we unfortunately sometimes have a lot of stressful situations in our lives that we just can't help. And so it's nice to have a tool that can kind of, be something we can do in the moment, or if we know it's going to be stressful, we can kind of do ahead of time to help things, calm down. That is wonderful. Yeah, Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody in the audience have any questions for Jen? We can go ahead and get those answered now. If not, then we will take our lunch break a little early, I think. So we were supposed to have a movement medicine, but that was Elizabeth's realm, and I don't do that, and she's unable to come, so I don't know how to do that. So I figured we would just kind of, go on our merry way. So we will be coming back together here in, let's say, an hour. So that'd be 12:15 my time. So that's 10:15 Pacific, 12:15 Central, 1:15 Eastern, and we will go. No, that'd be 2:15 Eastern. Sorry, don't listen to me. I can't time, y'all. And we will then have Sarai do her session. She is also equally amazing, and you all are going to love it. She is going to be doing Answering the Call of She, Returning to the Divine Feminine. Her stuff is absolutely amazing and necessary for all of us as women to help us return to that energy of being and not so much doing, right? We need a lot more rest in our lives because we are cyclical beings, and Sarai is going to help us know how to get back to that today. So we will be coming back here in an hour. So in 1 hour, join us back again to hear Sarai. And then after that, if you have the VIP ticket, we will be doing the breakout sessions as soon as Sarai is done. Those are held in a different platform, Google Meet, so you should have that link in your emails. If not, then please let me know. You can email me at info@atlasastrology.com, and I will send it out to you. So we will see you in an hour. Thank you so much for attending. Bye.